Well, this is a question that's come in from Project Zainab, another organization in London. In regards to temporary marriage, young sisters are affected psychologically in some circumstances. How can we combat the issue of sisters being psychologically affected?
Negatively affected.
Negatively, I assume, yes.
Yeah. My friends, temporary marriage is not a permission for all people to practice it. Temporary marriage is not the norm, is the exception, remember. The norm is the permanent marriage. The norm is to marry a person with the intention of establishing a family and raising children. That's the norm. However, for every norm, there is an exception. So, I do not encourage the young generation to go after the temporary marriage. It's not for you guys. You have both genders. You have to think of your future to build a stable future for yourself. And remember, these temporary relationships are going to affect in a bad way, in a negative way. You can Google that. This is scientifically proven. The more premarital relationships you have, the more destabilized your marriage is going to be. The less relationship you have before marriage, or no relationship, the more your marriage is going to be stable and flourishing. Remember, because you have emotions, you have heart. You cannot disconnect yourself from your heart. You can't say, I live with this person for 1 month, 3 months, and then I can completely disconnect myself from her and then find my own way. You can't do that. You have nafs inside you. So, it is not for you. It is for people who have some special circumstances. It's like the emergency door. We don't use the emergency door unless there is real emergency. We use the main door, the main gate. But when there is, God forbids, there is fire, there is emergency, we use the emergency. Muta'ah or temporary marriage or timed, I don't like to call it mut'ah, timed. Timed, this is the best expression in English. Timed marriage versus permanent. Timed, not mut'ah, don't call it mut'ah. So, this is intended for only special cases and maybe higher ages. Someone who got married, he or she, they failed in their first marriage, and the second marriage, and the third marriage, they have children. Now they have phobia of getting remarried again. In this case, he or she would say, I don't want to commit myself 100%. At the same time, I need a partner. I can't live by myself. So he or she, they come into agreement that we would live together like friends. Sometimes we may live together in the same house. Sometimes we see each other once a week. It's up to them. They decide. It's an exception. It's not the norm. Stay away from that. Brothers and sisters, stay away from that. Get it out of your mind. Get it out of your mind. Brothers, if you don't want your sisters to be involved on this, don't get people's daughters involved. Think about this. Think about this. So, to build a strong society, a healthy society, to raise a healthy family, you need to commit yourself to a permanent marriage. Temporary or timed is not haram. It's not haram, because if you shut the door, as they did, as the second caliph did, when he shut that door, then people started, did they stop? People say, we don't have desires, we don't have urges. They do. So they go into the wrong direction. So, in Shia Islam, we don't shut that door, but we say this door is only when it is really needed. For emergency only. For emergency, so to prevent a bigger haram, a greater haram from taking place. To stop fornication, adultery. Then God opened this channel of emergency. But this is not the norm in any way. We don't encourage it. You should not encourage it. Stay away from it, because it has mental, spiritual, as you heard, mental and spiritual.